welcome to Disney Day 7. Today we will be reviewing and rating Peter Pan. So I'm going to kick us off with the discussion on this one. Peter Pan is a film which is based on the play and novel of the same name by Scottish author J.M. Barrie. So Luke, would you like to share your thoughts on Peter Pan?
Peter Pan. I like Peter Pan fine enough. I think it hacks into that very childlike idea about not wanting to grow up, and I think, like with all Disney's, it needs a central film that children can latch onto, and that one's a doozy. You've kind of got this rich family that are... Wendy is mature for her age, but still a child, so she appreciates the carefree nature, which is why she goes along with Peter Pan's schemes, but at the same time she can kind of bring like a level discussion, like kind of why, yeah, not growing up's fantastic, but there comes a point where you need to start growing up.
So Wendy is on the cusp of becoming a teenager. I believe she's 12 at the start of the film. It starts off with her aunt Sarah coming around to see her parents. I think Aunt Sarah's babysitting for them because Mummy and Daddy are going to the theatre. And
with Nana the dog.
With Nana the dog. And they're saying that Wendy needs to move out of the nursery where she currently has her bedroom with her two brothers, who are, I believe, like 10 and Michael's proper young, like 2, 3. And move into her own room because she's about to become a young woman. So she decides to go to Neverland with Peter Pan because she's in a little bit of a crisis where she doesn't really want to start being a teenager, and she definitely doesn't want to leave her childhood behind. And that's kind of what the whole film is about, really.
Peter Pan's a great hero. There's been a few adaptations, and I think Peter Pan remains essentially such a strong character. I mean, like, even in the worst pantos known to man, Peter Pan kind of remains a saving grace many a time. It's just fun to be around, and like great chemistry with, let's be honest, a ball of light. Tinkerbell is a really strong character as well.
Oh yeah, I love Tinkerbell.
She's one of those ones that I think Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, out of all of the Disney characters, correct me if I'm wrong, they seem to be the most central to what Disney do. Tinkerbell is in almost in all of the marketing, and when it comes to the parks, I think that Peter Pan is always been a prominent member of the Disneyland.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Pan's ride in, I believe it's in all of the parks, Peter Pan's Flight of Fantasy, is it's like a fast pass attraction in Paris. Like, people just can't get enough of it. I love that ride. It's amazing. You board the Jolly Roger, which is Captain Hook's boat, and basically go through the scenes of Peter Pan. The scene where you fly over London is amazing. It's the London nightscape. Just a extra fun fact here, because I love the park so much. You see all the lights that the cars moving around and below you in the London town. They are actually little dots of luminescent paint that are painted onto a bike chain that moves. Yeah, sorry, you can carry on with your Back to Peter Pan now.
No, I'm just thinking through. So Peter Pan's a fun one. They're just all of the different... Like I said, most Disney's are quite episodic. We've discussed this, but I think Peter Pan, the episodes are at least really fun. Like, just the pretended to be Hook with his voice, and then when Tiger Lily's captured, and there's all of these fun things that accumulate into a big fight scene on a boat. I mean, it's kind of like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. Tinkerbell, let's go back to Tinkerbell. Talk about Tinkerbell. I love Tinkerbell. She's a sassy little fairy that needs attention or she will die. And I can 100% get behind that. I love her. She's great. There's a myth that she was based on Marilyn Monroe. That's actually not true. She was based on one of the actors that used to come in. She was based on the actress who helped the animators with like the posing for Tinkerbell. They based her on her. She's just... Yeah, like Luke said, in the stage show, she's a ball of light. That's what she is. She's a little light and a bell that flies around the stage, but obviously in the Disney adaptation they made her into a fairy. She doesn't ever speak in the Peter Pan film. She does in her own franchise that she's got now. She has her own Tinkerbell movies and other whole host of fairies with her.
Let's not discuss those.
No, we won't discuss that. But in the Peter Pan film, she never speaks, and yet she conveys so much emotion.
In fact, it almost shows up some of the other characters. I mean, like, out of all of Peter Pan's crew, Tinkerbell's the only one that you need to remember. You even kind of forget about how, like, Wendy's brothers, like, I mean, they're a little better, but, I mean, Tinkerbell and Peter Pan are such a strong force. It kind of, you know, they're almost unnecessary. Like,
There's the other Lost Boys as well, isn't there? Like, Tootles, Nibs, Curly, and the others that names I can't actually remember. They're all dressed as animals. Like there's Cubby. Cubby's the bear. Obviously, that's really not PG now I think of it. Then there's the guy is it Slyly is dressed as the fox, and Nibs and Toodles are I think they're the twins that are they skunks? Either skunks or raccoons. They're all like dressed as little animals.
I don't know, like I said, they really didn't do much for me, so I don't retain that memory.
They're great.
Let's talk about the pirates. Pirates
Okay.
are more fun. I have a theory that the moral of the story is that if you're a child that refuses to grow up for too long, then you become the pirates, and actually the pirates are ex-Lost Boys. Because what is a pirate if not an adult that refused to grow up? So that's how I read into it, and like Peter Pan is actually fighting adulthood coming into him, or his own worst enemy, himself. Of course, that's a very complex reading of an animated film. So
well, the voice actor who does the father, Mr. Darling, also voices Captain Hook.
That's carries on in the Pantos.
Yeah, and the film with Jason Isaacs.
It's a nice little thing that all of the reiterations of Peter Pan have kept through. But that kind of tells you that that meaning means something. So don't ignore that fact.
You don't like Captain Hook, though, do you?
Right, yeah. This is where Peter Pan falls apart for me. The Disneys, especially the early ones, they're only as good as the villain. And we've had some fantastic villains. We've had Snow White, for what you say about it. Evil Queen, amazing. You've got Lady Tremaine. I sung a lot about in Cinderella. And even when I was having a go at Pinocchio and Dumbo, it's kind of how they handled the villains. We hit Peter Pan, brick wall. Hook is, you know, like you hear Captain Hook and everyone talks about how cool he is and how awesome he is. And like, if you look at reiterations, I'll tell you what, Jason Isaacs as the live action Hook, phenomenal. And Dustin Hoffman in Hook. And in fact, all of the Hooks I've seen have been really good. And then you get really excited to go back to the original. And Captain Hook in the animated is the whiniest villain that Disney have ever done. He just sits there being pathetic, beaten up by a child, which I get's the point, but he doesn't have to be so wimpish about it. I don't like Hook.
I like Captain Hook. I don't have an issue with him. I was never like scared of him. He was never a villain that I was particularly like, oh, he's really scary. But I don't have an issue with him. I like him. And I cannot talk about Captain Hook without sidebarring and bringing back up Once Upon a Time and the beautiful Colin O'Donoghue who plays Captain Hook in Once Upon a Time. Like, that character is so far removed from the animated version. He's not like this guy with like a wig and a handlebar mustache that whines. He is like a sexy Irish leather-clad pirate, which is mainly why I watched all 7 seasons of that show. But 6 that he was in.
You have to pay attention to the fact that with Hook, the first thing they do when reimagining Hook is make him more threatening and scarier, and that has to make that I'm not the only one that thinks that he lacks a backbone.
The Jason Isaacs Hook, it was pretty terrifying as a child, or threatening at least. Like, you definitely felt like, oh no, he's actually gonna cause some crap here and actually hurt the children. Like, but the Captain Hook in the animation, you don't really get that.
Put it this way, I think, and I'm going to be hated for saying this, I think Peter Pan is the one film that the live action remake got better. I think it's better than the animation.
Also not a Disney. I don't think Disney's actually live action remade it either.
No, that's what I mean. Did it
Yeah.
better than Disney did. Full
Wow.
stop.
Mr. Smee though comes along with Captain Hook. You've got to love Mr. Smee.
I like him as much as the next guy. I don't dislike him, and I think he helps out. But I'm almost like the whole point of having a goofy sidekick is to kind of juxtapose the fact the villain's so intimidating. So to have Smee sidekicking for a guy that spends the entire plot running from a crocodile.
Well, they're kind of a comedy double act, aren't they? Smee and Hook in the Disney thing. I know they're not supposed to be, but that's what it
Every comedy
comes
act,
across as.
every good comedy act needs a straight guy, and Peter Hook and Smee just don't have a straight guy. They're both the buffoons.
TikTok the crocodile.
Fun fact: TikTok the app is actually based on. No, it's not a fun fact. I'll let Gemma do the actual fun
fact.
fact.
To the professionals. I like TikTok as a villain. He's essentially an alarm clock. That's what people are scared of, is an alarm clock. And I love TikTok the crocodile. He just looks so happy in the animation. It's like, yes, his whole life goal is to eat Captain Hook. I don't even think you can call TikTok a villain because he's the villain's villain.
Yeah, also, like, what crocodile is that? It's like kind of in the Bad Jaws remakes where the shark is like, takes everything scary personally. It's like, the crocodile makes no sense.
Does it even explain why the crocodile doesn't like Captain Hook? Oh, no, it's because he ate his hand and he was so tasty that he just keeps following him around for the rest.
What can you say? You got hooked.
Hey, do you want to rate? Do you want me to do the fun fact first?
Yeah, you go ahead with the fun fact.
Fun fact for Peter Pan is that in order to make the film, the Walt Disney Company had to buy the animation rights from Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is who the author J.M. Barrie left all the rights to Peter Pan in his will. They also had to donate a lot of the proceedings from the film to Great Ormond Street, which is why I don't think there's been another Peter Pan animation that isn't Disney, because they do still own the rights to it. They only own the rights to the film though, so the hospital got a lot of money from the film. They don't own the rights to the theme park representations or the DVD sales or the merch. However, Disney, God bless them, they're a corporation, they're not entirely heartless though, does still donate money from everything to Great Ormond Street Hospital. Yeah.
Rating. Yeah, but I like Peter Pan, but again, the villain's such a damp squib. Another 5.
I'm going to give Peter Pan an 8.
Oh, that's high for you. Well,
I love Peter Pan. I wanted to be Peter Pan as a child. Like, I am out of the Alice in Wonderland Peter Pan. I love Peter Pan. Sorry.
Actually rated a film higher than me. We've hit the turn. It's going to be like this from here on out.
Yeah. Is it? I look at what's coming up and I'm not so sure, but...
Okay. Something that's missing, guys, is comments. I think I want to see some comments about what you guys are scoring these Disneys.
Yeah, Ryan, you'll have to comment on our first video. Come on, man. You said you live for these. Play along.
I'm going to say goodbye.
Yeah, me too. So, thanks for joining us for rating Peter Pan, and have a magical rest of your day.